Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Oh, you stupid motherfucker!
You're gonna find me dead! I'm gonna kill myself!
Hit the fucking guy! What the fuck is he doing?
I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom!
They got their leg!
Don't ask me to do nothing! This is nothing!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Steel Here podcast, where I'm your host, Kevin Adams, alongside my partner in crime, Jersey Jerry. And while the Steelers may have lost, things are finally starting to get a little bit electric in the Steel City. Jerry was finally in town for a game this season, and it did not disappoint. That's all we needed to get a little look at Kenny Pickett. What were your initial thoughts on that, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, it was great, man. It really was. Going back to last week, we recorded episodes out, and I said something on there. I was asking your opinion on what might happen in game. I said, Kev, what do you think will happen if it's, Steelers don't really move the ball in the first half? Is there a chance Tomlin has to make that move in game and bring Kenny in? I mean, the crowd is going to be pissed if the Steelers don't score the ball in the first half. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be screaming, booing, chanting for Kenny. And that's exactly what happened. The craziest part about it is when I was at the game with my girl, and after halftime, she sees Kenny with his helmet on, and Mitch didn't have his helmet on. So she was like, Kenny's going in. Kenny's going in. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not going in. He's always has his helmet on the sideline. And then they were about to kick off, and Mitch starts walking to the bench. And I'm like, see, I told you he's going to get his fucking helmet. You're like making me believe that he's going in, and he's not. Sure enough, he went and got his helmet, but Kenny went in. And that stadium, man, I haven't heard it that loud ever. I mean, you've been to way more games than me. Put the Big Ben game aside, last game of the year. I don't know. I've been going for years now. I mean, you've been going to hundreds of more games than me. Have you ever heard it that loud?
I mean, it was fucking electric. You have to figure the fans feel like we've been held down for so long at this point. Like, everybody with any football IQ can see that, for Christ's sakes, it's time. We have to make a move here. We cannot continue to keep trotting out Trubisky. That offense was stale. I mean, they were dead.
Yep.
Absolutely dead. The Jets, when you have someone like Zach Wilson fucking grittying in our end zone, that's not good. I mean, that place was ready to kill. And so, I mean, I'm getting texts like, oh, Kenny might be going in. Kenny might be going in. And I'm texting you. I'm like, he might be going in.
Yeah.
And then when he comes onto the field, that's one of the loudest eruptions that I've genuinely heard for a non-scoring moment in Heinz Field history. Acrisure, irrelevant. I mean, that's the loudest I've heard that place for a moment of that magnitude. And he didn't disappoint. I mean, 3 turnovers, Jerry, but he did not disappoint. He did things that we've not seen the offense do at any point in this season, and he did it in 30 minutes with no reps getting thrown into a game at halftime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you heard Kenny after the game say, like, no, I haven't got first team reps. I had to steal reps on the sideline with guys like Deontay, guys like Pat, guys like George Pickens. He had to steal those reps, but when I watched the press conference, I said to myself, there's a big difference. Listen, Mitch is what he is. You know what I mean? I think Mitch is a pretty good backup quarterback. If you're in a jam, your starter goes down for a couple weeks. He can bail you out of the jam, win a couple games, go 2-2, go 3-1 maybe, but he can win a couple games. You know what I mean?
Right.
But listen, man, you watch that press conference and you see Kenny talk and you see Mitch talk. Forget about the game. The game that Mitch got taken out of. All the other games Mitch lost this year and Kenny lost, which was against the Jets. You see them, and it just looks to me like Kenny is more mature than Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny right away said, pretty much, I'm not trying to paraphrase here, but he pretty much said, I got to do a better job of not throwing interceptions. I pretty much cost the team the game. It's my fault. He took responsibility. He just sounded like a veteran. He sounded like a guy who's been in the league for a decade. And I don't know if that has to do with all the years he played in college or what. But he sounded like a guy like I want that guy as my starting quarterback.
Agreed. Agreed. It's the confidence that he oozes, even in defeat. I mean, he answered the questions the right way. He didn't look like a timid rookie that got thrown to the wolves at halftime of a
No.
game. I mean, he came out. And we can talk about the interceptions all day, but the bottom line is he gave his playmakers a chance to make plays. I mean, the ball to Claypool. Fuck, man, you hope Claypool makes that catch. He's a much bigger wide receiver. If you
Yeah.
can't high point over a 5'9", a 5'10" corner, that's disappointing. That's just disappointing.
People say, hey, that was, that Kenny shouldn't have threw that. That wasn't really a 50-50 ball. Brother, that ball was a 70-30 ball. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Underthrown a little bit,
Agreed.
yes.
It
But
was.
you got 5 inches, 6 inches on the guy. Come on. Go high
Right.
point the ball and make the fucking catch, man. That
Right.
I'm
There's
not,
no.
and I'm not worried because listen, I liked right away Kenny's first pass. He said, "Fuck, I'm slinging this motherfucker." And
Yes, he did.
I mean, listen, it's pretty much as good as a punt in that situation. What are you going to do? It is what it is.
Right.
As far as the second pick, that was Kenny's fault for sure. It was Kenny's
Yeah.
fault, and pretty much he acknowledged it. That's pretty much if there was one play in the game that lost the Steelers the game, it was that play. As far as the
Hmm.
third Hail Mary, I mean,
Irrelevant.
yeah, it's
Irrelevant.
relevant.
That's not even worth discussing.
Yeah.
But the thing that Kenny did that was special, in my opinion, was. Well, I mean, one of the things that was the most exciting for me was Mike Tomlin used the quarterback keeper.
Yes.
And Jerry, how long's it been since we've seen the Steelers run a legitimate QB sneak? I mean, we
Exactly.
don't fucking Ben late in the career. I think we might have done it once in 3 seasons,
I
his
know.
last 3 seasons. We just don't run it. And
Yeah.
Tomlin ran that fucking thing from our own 30
Yeah.
on Kenny's first drive.
That was
His first drive,
Yes.
4th and 1 from our own 33, and he lets Kenny keep it,
Yeah.
and we get it. And then he lets Kenny keep it again at the goal line, and we punch that thing in with the quarterback sneak. I mean,
Yeah.
the QB sneak is hard to defend, and we haven't used it in years, and it feels so refreshing to be able to see us run that style of offense again. That's a good
Yeah.
play that we've just completely abandoned.
That was a loud moment as well in the stadium. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That first drive. Oh man, holy shit, that was crazy. That was crazy.
Confidence.
Yeah.
That's Mike Tomlin saying, "Fuck it, baby. We're rolling the dice now. We put in the kid.
Yeah.
Is what everybody wanted. We let Mitch go through 3.5 games. We know what we got out of him. Unfortunately, it's not enough. He said that he needed the spark, and I don't know how you can watch that and not think that there was a spark there.
Yeah.
He had, I want to say, like 4 or 5 possessions, and we scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Mitch has had 40 some possessions, and we scored like 4 touchdowns.
I mean,
it was night and day.
Yeah, I think Kenny went like 5 of 6 or 6 of 7 on third down.
Mhm.
Take away the interceptions, the ball. You know what I mean? He didn't throw an incompletion. You know what I mean? I mean,
Four or 5 for 80 yards and 1 interception, not including the Hail Mary at the end of the game. That's on passes of 10 plus air yards.
yeah,
So you're talking, he pushed the ball downfield, and we saw things we've not seen the offense do at any points in this season. And he
Yes.
did it, like we said, coming off no practice, getting thrown in there on short notice. And he was not, the moment was not too big for him.
No.
And as Steelers fans, what we need to remember is he is a rookie quarterback, but he did play quite a few years at Pitt. He's well experienced. He ran a pro style offense. And one of the most exciting things came after the game in his post-game interview. They're asking him, they're rapid firing him questions back and forth in his press conference. And what he says is, he said something that I was just texting you about today when he discusses what the defense was showing him.
Mhm.
He's talking about the coverages he thought he was seeing and things of that nature. You're talking about a rookie quarterback coming in, never seeing the field, no practice, didn't know he was going to play, and he's already figuring out what the defense is showing him.
Exactly.
And in the NFL, that's how you win, Jerry.
Yeah.
The best, they're all talented. They all throw the ball fucking 3,000 yards. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the guys who are smart enough to read what the defense is showing them
Yeah,
that put you in a position to win.
Guys like done it their whole career. Peyton Manning, Eli
Yep.
Manning has done it at the line of scrimmage. Philip Rivers, the great ones. Favre did
Yep.
it his whole career. You know what I mean? The great ones, they do that. They do
It's
that.
why Ben was still so good, even though his body was quitting on him the last couple of years, was because he was still cerebral. He was still the smartest player on the field. So he
Yeah.
still knew where guys were going to be based on the coverages they were showing. He was making changes at the line of scrimmage. And that's something else that was hinted at, was that, Kenny was moving some things around at the line of scrimmage. So it's not, the guy oozes confidence.
Oh
That's,
yeah.
you either have it or you don't. You either have it
Exactly.
or you don't. And Kenny Pickett,
He's got that
3
swagger, bro.
interceptions aside, he looks like he has it. Yeah,
Oh,
agreed,
for
man. I
sure.
was very fucking
The
excited.
best thing that came out of this game for me, let's take the Kenny Pickett situation aside. Three
Mhm.
and a half games in, Tomlin makes the move. What that tells me is Tomlin is not giving up on the season. If Tomlin really, really, really thought the season was dead, I think he would have just kept Mitch in there till after the bye. Um,
Agreed.
Tomlin probably said to himself, listen, I don't want the season to be dead. I don't think it's dead. Sure, we got a gauntlet coming up, but I got a guy that's sitting on the bench right now that I think could win us some football games. And with
Mhm.
TJ Watt coming back, Calvin Austin coming back, I think they're not dead, man. I think they're not dead, not yet. I know the loss to the Jets is really, really bad. I was pissed off about it for sure. I'm sure the team
Yeah.
was pissed off about it. I know Minka's pissed off about it. He had some crazy things to say, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
Yep.
you watch Cam, he's pissed. Their whole team's pissed. So I think the next couple games is really going to give us a good look at, hey, this team will have a chance. I mean, people in our division are losing. I mean, Ravens are
Well, that's
losing,
exactly
Browns
it.
are losing. You know what I mean?
We're still one game back.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
exactly.
still one fucking game back in the division, and we're 1-3.
Yeah.
And we win Sunday, and we're right in the thick of it in the division. Now, granted, we are about to go through an absolute gauntlet.
Hmm.
We are going through a gauntlet. 14-point dogs going into Buffalo this week. Welcome to the NFL, Kenny Pickett. But
Yeah.
there's never going to be an easy Sunday. We talked about it
No,
last week. There's never
no,
going to be an easy game day.
no.
So fuck it, let's ride. Like
Yeah.
what is the ultimate litmus test of what Kenny Pickett can be if we're going into Buffalo? And look, this is pretty much the measuring stick right now.
Yeah, it
This is
is.
what we're going to have to end up beating for the next 5 to 10 years. Josh Allen and the Bills up there in Buffalo. So this
Mhm.
is going to be an electric first game to see Kenny Pickett come out in.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I didn't get a chance. I was swarmed all day long, man. I unfortunately didn't really get to listen. I heard bits and pieces of the Tomlin press conference. What did you get out of it?
So Tomlin said a couple things. The offense needed a spark.
Mhm.
One of the things that's really stood out to me was he said we'll be able to evaluate Kenny Pickett over the next few weeks. So that to me says that it's not. He said that he considered. I think it was Brooke Pryor. She asked him, did you consider putting Mitch back in this week? Familiarity with Buffalo, being that he
Mhm.
was there last year, and blah blah. And he said I did, and that was the end of it.
Wow.
And so ultimately they're going with Kenny, but for him to say something is a very small wordplay, but for him to say, we'll be able to evaluate Kenny over these next few weeks and be able to see what he's capable of doing and not capable of doing. That's pretty telling that when you make that decision like Tomlin has, I don't think they're going back on it. I think this is it now. We're going to ride out and ride the rookie to the end of the season now, which we've discussed. That's how it has to be. That's how it
Yeah.
has to be. You've made the change now. You let everybody see that it's not Mitch. So there's no chatter. There's no chatter. You won't hear any, oh, let's put Mitch in. We know it ain't Mitch.
Yeah.
Now the fans, everybody knows it's Kenny Pickett time moving forward. We're going to take some lumps. That's rookie quarterback football.
Mhm.
But I mean, based on what we saw Sunday, the arrow trends up for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward towards this season. As long as we can grow and develop, looking at next season, I'm very fucking excited about it.
Yeah, he said something interesting as well. I seen a clip, or not a clip. I think I seen a tweet. It said like, Mitch Trubisky, he's still the captain. He's still going to go out there for the coin toss. That was, I mean, that was a little interesting, right? I mean,
I
listen,
feel bad
I
for him a little
listen.
bit.
Of course, I feel bad for him 100%. But this is a business. You know what I mean? This is at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, this is a business. And uh, my take on it is this: you can tell after the game, Mitch wasn't happy at all.
Agreed.
Um,
Right.
I could see the Steelers trading Mitch Trubisky after this gauntlet is over. Depending on how Kenny performs, I could see them trading him. I could see Mitch being pretty, aggravated, being pretty pissed. He wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
Give him a shot somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised. I know you heard some chatter. What was that?
Yep. Jason LaCanfora, he said I wouldn't be surprised either. He said I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers move Trubisky before the deadline next month, simply because of what you're saying. I mean, if you're gonna go to Kenny Pickett and you already have somebody that's familiar with
Mm-hmm.
the team as far as Mason Rudolph
Yeah,
as your three, who has trade value, who has more trade value? It's either Mason or it's Mitch, and obviously we know that it's going to be Mitch. And the other part of it is it only makes sense to trade him at this point. Like I've thought about this since we looked at it yesterday. Whenever I said to you, I mean, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it makes sense in the sense that why would you hold on to him if you know that you're going with Kenny, and if the season might not, if we're not probably going to win the Super Bowl this year and we're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs and things of that nature, why not recoup some of that? Why
exactly.
not recoup, even
Exactly.
if it's a fifth, even if a fourth or a fifth, something like that? I mean,
Exactly.
somebody is going to be desperate for a quarterback here, and it's not like Mitch Trubisky is the worst fucking quarterback in the world.
No,
He just was not good for us, and that's a little bit of scheme thing and some confidence, and I think he was playing more to not lose than he was playing to
exactly.
win. And nothing epitomizes that more than what we saw Kenny Pickett do, and we saw him do it against the Jaguars in preseason. And everybody says, "Oh, it's preseason. Play, let's see him on Sundays."
Hmm.
And what did he do Sunday, Jerry? When he's staring down the barrel of a loaded gun, and I mean, he gets fucking popped right square in the
Yep.
chest, helmet to the chin, and he lands that dagger right in the chest of Pat Fryermuth, who takes it down to about the 3-yard line. That's an NFL play,
Oh yeah.
and he did it in preseason. I was roaring up there to see him do that in regular season play on a Sunday in a big moment. And what's he do? He gets up smiling.
Hmm.
He's laughing at the defender. I mean, it was that to me is he's oozing the it factor whenever you can do that. That's what the great ones do. You take a lick, you know you're gonna fucking get hit, make the throw, the guy catches it. That's electric offense.
Yeah,
That is electric
it
offense. And we
is.
saw Mitch turtle shell too often in those moments and tuck his tail and take a hit, and it's a sack. And unfortunately, that there was enough of enough. And so we finally got to see Kenny get his chance to do it. And I mean, he's shining in that moment. Very limited time, but it's hard to not be excited as a Steelers fan.
Yeah, for sure. Another interesting thing I've been thinking of this is going back the last 2 weeks. I said to myself, I could see this team trading Chase Claypool. He's
Mm-hmm.
been there for a couple years, hasn't really had the production that we need on offense. Besides that one game, I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever it was against. I think it was it the Eagles? He had like five
Yeah,
touchdowns or
4
scored four.
touchdowns. That was his rookie year. That
Yeah,
was his rookie year. That's when we started like 11-0.
yeah. I mean, since that, it's like I haven't seen that guy. I haven't seen him, and I know the Steelers haven't seen that guy. Um,
Mm-mm.
depending on what kind of guy Austin turns out to be, you'll see it in the next couple weeks. I could see the team moving him, man. I really, really can. He's just not producing. He's just not. He's just
Mm-mm.
stagnant. And I thought this year was going to be a big year for him in the slot, and it's just not. It's just not. I'll
Right.
tell you one thing though. We we got. I don't care what nobody says. This motherfucker is going to be wide receiver number one, brother. That's that
Yes,
that's
he
that's
is.
George Pickens.
Yep. Yep. I mean, Jerry, George Pickens finally we're starting to gas up. We're starting to gas up the Ferrari
Oh
because
yeah.
Kenny looked at him, and Kenny looked at him a lot, and the rapport in such a limited amount of time together. Obviously, Kenny is not throwing with the ones in
Yeah.
practice. So to be able to come in there and the anticipation throws, I think that's what true NFL quarterbacks do. You're throwing the ball before the wide receiver has broken out of his route. He
Hmm.
hasn't even fucking turned around yet, and the ball's in the air. And Kenny did it a few times, sideline. I mean, and you have Pickens dancing on the sideline, toe tapping, getting his feet in bounds. Kenny's looking at him over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry had 6 catches for 102 yards. He had his best game as a Steeler. It's no surprise that it came with Kenny Pickett, who's willing to take the chances to give the playmakers the chance to make the play.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm happy because my offensive rookie of the year is still alive.
Mm-hmm. It finally made a little comeback. Now you have to hope that he outperforms Kenny Pickett, so their
Yeah,
stock rises at the same time. Because
exactly.
now that Kenny Pickett's going to have 13 games, I think is what it is. He'll have 13 chances to really make a statement for the Rookie of the Year. You better hope that he's feeding George Pickens, and George Pickens is eating. But I don't think we have any doubts about George Pickens' future. And
No,
circling back to what you
no.
said about Claypool, the thing that's frustrating about Chase Claypool is he looks like he has all the physical tools to be an
Yes.
elite wide receiver, and it's just not happening. Now, before we crush him, let's look back at none of our receivers looked good the first 3.5 games either, though, for
Yeah.
the most part. I mean, a little bit of Deontay Johnson, but I mean, it's not like any of them excelled.
Hmm.
So we will more so be able to gauge that the next 4 to 5 weeks as we see Kenny Pickett try and push the ball downfield, and you'll be able to see more of what Chase Claypool can be.
Hmm.
And if at that point Pickens continues to emerge, we get Calvin Austin back, and maybe he can be a little something inside the slot there, then I would agree with you. I think Chase Claypool does have trade value. It's just not really like the Steelers to make major moves like that in season.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he still has one more year in his deal. This is only year 3 for Claypool, so he still has one more year in his rookie deal anyway. So they could move him. If not this season, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him in the offseason.
Hmm.
But again, you want to surround a rookie quarterback with as many elite weapons as you can, so that you can fully judge what his development looks like. You can't send him out there with a bunch of fucking scrubs, and
Hmm.
if he doesn't perform, then you don't know, is it him or is it the talent around him? And so it will be nice to be able to see him play a few games with those guys and then reassess how they actually look. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think Chase Claypool was a letdown so far this year, and that sucks to say because I had very high hopes for him. But it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. That if you can't out jump a guy, and he was drafted to be a combat catch kind of
Yeah.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
And he's not winning those balls for us. And
No,
that's
he's not.
fucking unfortunate because he has all the talent in the world, it looks like, and it's just not putting it together.
And another guy that's underperforming that gets me pretty nervous is Najee Harris, man. Najee
Yeah.
Harris. I mean, I when I watch the game, right, whether I'm there or whether I'm on the TV, he just slow. He just looks very slow.
Yeah.
You don't really see him
He
gaining
doesn't
more.
have pop.
No, no, he doesn't have
No
that.
pop.
Yeah, and it's like, a couple games into the season, I know he dealt with that foot injury. I don't know if that's a problem, but he just looks like he's a step behind, man. He really does, and
Hmm.
and I don't care what nobody says. The offensive line has done their job. They have pass protection.
Agreed.
They're blowing guys off the line of scrimmage. There should be no reason Najee's not picking up 4 or 5 yards a carry, and he,
Right?
he just he's just not getting going, and that gets me a little
No.
little worried. I hope against the Bills it's going to be tough, but I would like to see Najee get a lot more involved. I really would.
Right. And I think again, it's the same stance that I'm going to take with the Claypool assessment so far. It's just that it's really hard to see what our team is and what our players are or what they can be this season through the first 4 games. Whenever teams know that we're not pushing the ball down the field. They know that we're not using the middle of the field. They're stacking 8 men in the box. Like, it's hard to get the run game going. Now, having said all of that, the line has gotten better each week.
Mhm.
Sunday was the best that the Steelers have run the ball this season.
Yes.
So the arrow is trending up on that end. So I'm not going to completely fucking bury Najee Harris right now. But I will say Jalen Warren is he has more pop. He is more explosive. I'll say
He
that. I mean,
does.
the longer runs seem to come when Jalen Warren is in the backfield. He's just running with more conviction,
Yeah, he's hungry.
if that makes sense. I mean, he just sees it and he's hitting it. Whereas Najee does a little bit more dancing, and he doesn't have the explosive power or speed rather to find the holes quickly and then blow through them.
Hmm.
But if we have, Kenny that wants to continue to push the middle of the field, push the ball downfield, use play action more, it's going to open up all of those other things for the running
I
backs,
hope
for the
so.
line. Linemen will be looking at just, blocking the man in front of them instead of blocking, the man in front of them and then the linebacker crashing down into the hole. So we're going to be able to see more they all run in tandem. It's all one cog, as the wheel spins. So if we can get the passing game opening up, pushing things further downfield, we'll be able to see more of the running game develop, and we will be in a better place to see if Najee is having a down year or if it was just a matter of, I mean, we were getting pounded because teams knew how we were playing the game the first 4 games.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's early yet. We're only a fourth of the way through the season, but I would agree with you. I think Najee is having a little bit of a down year, and that's unfortunate, but there's still plenty of time to fucking make it up. We're not done yet here. We're just really getting going now that we have the future at quarterback, and it feels so fucking good to say
Yes, it
that.
does. Yes, it does.
What we hit on earlier, and something that I want to circle back to was the George Pickens game, though, simply because we know that Deontay Johnson is a good receiver, but his hands sometimes lack. And people don't like hearing this and they say, stop beating him up for dropping balls. But he does drop balls. He
Hmm.
does drop balls,
Yeah.
man. And if you're going to be an elite number one wide receiver in the NFL, you better have fucking great hands.
Hmm.
He has great route running. He has great separation, but oftentimes he'll drop balls. And I realized that I'm not going to fully pin this drop against him from the game Sunday, but it was early in the first half. It was a Trubisky interception. The
Hmm.
ball, the lineman had dropped back into coverage a little bit, which, Trubisky, you would have hoped had saw, but it's hard to think that a defensive tackle is going to drop into coverage in the middle of the field. So he gets a paw up and maybe a fingernail hits the ball and it changes course. Maybe. I mean, you really couldn't even see. I watched it back many times and it hits DJ still square in the hands and he drops the ball and it flips over his head and the safety intercepts it.
Hmm.
What you don't see someone doing stuff like that is George Pickens. I just think George Pickens has better hands. I
Yeah.
think George Pickens will eventually overtake the number one wide receiver spot. And there is a reason that the Steelers did not give Deontay Johnson a long contract. 2 years at $36 million. He got paid like a 15 to 25 wide receiver. He didn't
Yeah.
get paid like a top 15 wide receiver. And I think there's a reason inside the building, as much as fans don't want to admit it, the front office is not going to pay a guy if they don't value him as the top 15 wide receiver. And
Exactly.
by not giving him a long deal and not giving him crazy money, and now you see George Pickens might start to come on. He is my all heart player of the week, and it's not even because he went 6 for 102 yards. It's because of the fucking block that he made again. Did you see the clip of
Yeah.
that block?
That crackback just crushed him.
Destroyed him, blew the fucking guy right off his cleats, right on his
And he
ass. I
went
mean,
back down again on him too.
oh yeah, he made sure he look, and then he stepped over him like the Iverson over Ty Lue,
Yeah.
fucking stare down at him. I mean, that is special. I love wide receivers that block. If that doesn't get you fired up as a Steelers fan, having watched Hines Ward for years do that type of shit, nothing's gonna get your blood going then, because that is what it takes from our wide receivers. You want the run game to succeed, you better be willing to put your hat in the pile and fucking bang a guy.
Oh yeah.
And to see George Pickens do it on top of 6 for 102, his first 100-yard receiving game in the NFL, and he's still putting his hat out there. That guy's a winner. We've talked about it. That guy's a fucking dog,
Oh yeah.
Jerry.
That's
And
mine.
he is my all-heart player
Same here.
because of shit like that.
I mean, you covered everything, man. That was my all heart player of the week too. George Pickens, man. That breakout game. Hopefully it continues.
Yeah, I mean, and it's special because if that guy can continue his uptrend as far as the Steelers' trajectory is concerned, then you're right. There is more trade value for Chase Claypool. It takes a little bit more pressure off of Deontay Johnson too. You know what I mean? Teams might not have to double him if they have to worry about George Pickens, or we'll get to see what Calvin Austin does coming out of the slot. So we're gonna get to see some things open up now, moving forward. And again, that's why I don't give a shit about the interceptions that Kenny Pickett threw, because if you don't take chances, you're never going to know anyway.
Exactly.
Look how many quarterbacks just throw the ball downfield simply because they're like, fuck it, my wide receiver is good and I want to see what we can do with them. So, that's what Kenny looked like. And it's very exciting to be able to see all the talent we have on the outside finally get some looks at showing why that's all of our talent on the outside.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's jump into the tweet of the week. My tweet is this one, and it stood out to me. It was a vertical image, and it was cut off in the middle, and it showed Trubisky and Kenny Pickett on that play where Kenny got cracked. It shows the difference. It's from Tyler Weiss, and it says the difference between Pickett and Trubisky, and pretty much it's almost like the exact identical play. And
Mm-hmm.
Pickett gets crushed. He completes a pass to Fryermuth, and Mitch takes a sack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
And
it just goes to show. I mean, this guy Kenny, man, he ain't afraid to stay back there and get cracked.
Just probably 40 minutes before we recorded, I was stalking Twitter and I saw Charlie Batch quoted that. It had something like 8,000 likes and a pile of retweets. And Charlie Batch quoted it and he said, it's just, this is not the same play. It's an unfair assessment. It's not the same play, different coverages.
It looks close enough.
It's irrelevant because the point is he wasn't trying to say it was the exact same play or anything like that. He was showing that when the pressure is coming down and there are wide open wide receivers or tight ends in the middle of the field, one guy was willing to take the shot and find them and throw the ball. The other guy, like I said, turtle shelled, tucked his tail and fucking took the sack.
Exactly.
And so and it's not just that play. I mean, we could chop up, 15 other plays through the first 3.5 games where Mitch did the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
We see guys wide open, like 10 feet in front of him, and he's taking a sack or he's leaving the pocket early. And we didn't see Kenny do that on Sunday.
No.
Kenny stood in those pockets until the pockets. He has great pocket awareness.
Yes.
In 30 minutes of football, I couldn't have been more excited about what we saw from his pocket awareness. He could feel it. He knew when to run. He knew when to stand in the pocket. He knew when the pocket was collapsing. He made the most with his legs. I mean, in the NFL today, look at the best quarterbacks. Most of them are dual threat. Mahomes can run. Josh Allen can fucking run.
And Lamar
Jackson. All those guys are dual threat. And we finally have a guy who has, I mean, he's not 4.3, 4.4, 40 speed, but he has nice enough wheels that we haven't seen, Big Ben move around out there in many years. He did it early in his career, but we ain't seen it in a while. And that's a very lethal part of an offense, to be able to move the chains just with your legs.
Yeah, for sure. I want to touch on, before we get to the betting segment, Ben on his podcast didn't really seem too happy that the Steelers went to Mitch. Did you listen to it?
To Kenny, you mean?
I mean, to Kenny, yeah. He was pretty upset that they pulled Mitch that quick.
He was, and okay, so here's the thing. I fucking tweeted about this today, and I mean, the tweet did well. A lot of people agreed. But the problem was, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I didn't feel that way. I didn't think Ben said that." He was talking about how he texted Kenny after the game, and this, that, and the other thing. But I think what was interesting, the most interesting thing that Ben said in that, and to clarify why I said I don't want Ben to be like a jealous ex-girlfriend. Look, I'm never gonna talk shit about Ben ever. You guys all fucking know me. If you follow me, I would die for that guy.
Yeah.
But if you don't think Ben is a little bit envious or jealous or has a little prima donna attitude, you're fucking lying to yourselves,
Exactly.
man. That's all the reasons I loved the 7 was for shit like that.
Yeah.
But, he said he didn't think it was time to pull Mitch yet. He didn't think it was just Mitch's problem, which is fine. You can make that comment. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm not, who am I to tell a Hall of Fame quarterback that he has the wrong opinion on quarterback play and offensive play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, if you can't watch that game and think that Kenny Pickett gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a spark in that second half, you're simply lying to yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, you're fucking lying to yourself.
100%.
And so one of the things that I want to hit on my tweet of the week, it was Chris Mueller. You were just on 93.7 The Fan here a couple days ago. So you were on with Pony and Mueller. And so he tweeted something that's actually pretty hilarious. Strays from Tomlin are the first thing Gunner's caught all year. Gunnar Olszewski is a problem for us right now. He's dropped the ball twice in 4 games.
And he almost fumbled the
luckily we got
second
the ball.
time that game as well. Did you see that?
Yes. And so I think we might get to see the Sims kid who was electric in the preseason. I think we might get to see him, take some punts back. Gunner, I had high hopes for. You had high hopes for. It doesn't look good so far. I'm not saying he's entirely dead, but we can't continue to roll with that style of it's a risk, and his returns haven't been fucking great at all.
No.
So it will be nice to see a new returner out there this week here in Buffalo. I think we're going to get a chance to see that. Tomlin had hinted at it. And speaking of Buffalo, the spread is bad. I mean, the Steelers are 14-point underdogs, and that was Monday's opening line. So 14-point dogs, Jerry. To look into the betting segment this week, we'll recap last week. Jerry hit his bet. He took the Jets plus 3.5. I hit my bet, which was Steelers or over 41.5 rather. So Jerry and I both hit. So we're both 2-2 on the season.
Yep.
We're neck and neck on that end of things, but this week is it's tough. And I, honestly, I'm probably going to take the Steelers and the 14 points, just because in the NFL, 2 scores is fucking crazy. That's a lot of points, man. That's a ton of points. I mean, I'm going to take the Steelers plus the 14 and ride and die with it. Now, could I see us getting smoked? Absolutely. Bills are great, but I mean, it'd be embarrassing the Steelers to lose by more than that. I mean, we don't lose by that many points very often. The defense might not be playing great, but we're not that bad.
No, for sure. And you know what? Vegas is telling me something right now. The over-under is 47, and that tells me they don't care that Kenny Pickett's the quarterback. They think there's going to be a lot of points this game. I thought the line was going to open up like 42, 43. They put it at 47, almost 50 points. That tells me they think the Steelers are probably going to score closer to 20, 24 points.
Right.
So I'm taking the over in this game, 47. I think Kenny goes out there. I think he moves the ball down the field. I think we score touchdowns. I think receivers score touchdowns. So that's my bet, over 47.
Yeah. So, I mean, and last week it was nerve wracking to bet the over, but I just had a feeling. I'm like, there's just no, we're going to score points this week. I didn't think we'd play Kenny and score points,
Yeah.
but I mean, he came in. That's the whole reason we won the bet. I mean, if Mitch stays in there, well, I don't win that
Yeah,
bet.
you're
So
dead.
I'm thankful on that end. Yeah, dead as fuck. So I'm thankful that he came in. We hit that bet. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are still interested in the gambling, I say it every week because you're missing out. I've gambled on a lot of different platforms over the years, and obviously now I'm on the Barstool Sportsbook app. They give you so much insight on what to bet. They show you the last 5 games that the teams have played, how many times they've hit the over, the under, they covered the spread. I mean, if you're gambling, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not looking at the Barstool Sportsbook app at this point, because they really do try and help you more than a lot of other gambling apps do. So I highly encourage you to check into that. Um, and again, if you guys are liking the podcast, Jerry and I are finally getting to a point where we're probably going to get guests on here at some point in the near future.
Yep.
So, we wanted to work out some kinks and figure out the flow of the podcast. And so we finally have found our footing on that. So we are going to look at having some guests here in the next couple of weeks. I think you guys are really going to enjoy some of the things that we have lined up. Like it, comment it, subscribe. It takes 1 second on the YouTube channel. Hit the like button. It helps us a lot actually to see, what you're enjoying. Leave a comment. Let us know your favorite segment, what you're interested in having us talk about in the future. And we're going to look into maybe doing some spaces together after some of the games,
Yeah.
and get some of you guys on to discuss, right after the game when emotions are high, and we
Mhm.
can take some callers and get some of your questions and hear what you guys have to say about the games as well.
Perfect. Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, like, comment. Comment's important. Subscribing's important. Helps out with the algorithm. We'll get some YouTube shorts up there instead of the long videos. We'll have the actual podcast up there, but we're going to start to put some YouTube shorts up there. Maybe some like 60-second clips, so you guys can see that as well. So yeah, looking forward to the Bills game, man.
Absolutely. I'm going to head up to Buffalo. I'll be at the game. So make sure you guys check out the Steel Here Twitter handle. We'll be putting some stuff on there for people. But we appreciate it. We will touch base again with you guys after this game. It's Kenny Pickett's first start in the NFL for the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. So if you're not excited about it, I don't know what gets you excited as a sports fan. It is going to be an electric week. We appreciate you guys listening to it, and we'll touch base with you again here next week.
All right, later, guys.
Later, Jer.
We're here. We're still here.
We are still here.